Hey there, YouTube users, colleagues, and composers everywhere. If you're a Sibelius user like me, then listen up. We are in trouble. Recently, Avid, Sibelius' parent company, decided to tighten up the brand. They sold off their interest in some applications and took action to minimize costs. One of these actions was to lay off the entire development team of Sibelius and close down their UK offices in Finsbury Park, London. If your livelihood as a musician and composer depends in any way on Sibelius, it's time for you to find out more and join in the effort to preserve this important artistic resource. Since I started my exhaustive reviews and analysis of the new Sibelius 7 version, I've been interested to read your feedback. It's great to hear that my videos have helped some viewers to make up their minds one way or another, whether to sit tight on Sibelius 5 or 6 for now, or to upgrade to 7. It doesn't matter which way you decide to me. All I care about is that you're able to get the best use and most creative results out of Sibelius. But I think some viewers may not understand the spirit of my criticism of Sibelius. Some people thought I was beating up on the developers and seemed happy to join in. Please, I understand your frustrations, and I share some of them, but I've got nothing but respect for those hardworking men and women who've helped Sibelius improve through the past decade and a half. My critiques are intended as being constructive, not contemptuous. If some of us long-term users can take a stand on what we feel will improve the program, then all users will benefit. Now, I know that a lot of you have been waiting for my open letter to Sibelius. There's an interesting reason behind the delay. Right after I uploaded my first review, Daniel Spreadbury, the head of Sibelius' development team, contacted me directly. He had some interesting feedback on some of my critiques, and some very worthy perspectives on the way the program is used and what his overall goals are. Over the following months, we shared a lively, intricate correspondence, batting ideas back and forth. Many of the concerns you raised went directly to him, and he was happy to receive them. As a result, I kept putting off the release of the open letter as the months went by, and I kept having to reframe the information in the script. But I always intended to make the video, and was just about to go ahead with it when I heard the announcement about Sibelius. At that time, I was at the Young Composers Workshop in Nelson, New Zealand. The reaction of my colleagues, from the youngest to the oldest, was with shock and worry. This news could very well negatively affect all our careers, and was now just one more thing we all had to worry about. The biggest problem is that the decision was announced without any consideration for the users, as if this were just some utilitarian application like iPhoto. The Avid company did not think through how this news would create enormous negative response. That is what worries me about Avid. Not necessarily that they might have to lay off some people, but that they seem to lack a basic understanding of the fundamental importance of notation software to the entire worldwide community of composers. And since the announcement, even though thousands of negative responses have been placed on their comment boards without a single positive response, the company seems to be unable to get their head around the enormity of the situation. It's simply one of the worst cases of client relations I've seen in the history of software companies, period. So what can we do? My advice is, first, don't take this video as the last word on anything. Go and inform yourself with many of the links I've provided, and do your own searches for news. By the time you watch this, it may have been up for weeks or months, and the situation may have changed several times. So get wise to the situation now, and don't think you can go running into the arms of Finale. Their parent company, Make Music, is taking steps to avoid receivership. As I said, we are in trouble. Second, go to the new website, sibeliususers.org. If you agree with me that we need to join together to take action, then this is the place to do it. You may want to also send your own thoughts about the situation to various representatives of the Avid company, and there are contacts listed there. But keep it civil. Maybe you're scared, maybe you're angry, maybe you want to scream obscenities at them. If you really want your concerns to be read by the executives, though, then you'll be polite, because they'll just ignore the hate mail. Anything that's worth saying can be said without personally attacking your adversary. And I don't want this video to be the launch pad for a spew fest. Thanks very much. The third thing I recommend is that you consider upgrading to version 7 soon, before who knows what happens over at Avid. Though I've been critical of the new version, giving it a 7.5 out of 10, that doesn't mean that I think it's not worth using. I've simply been realistic about the time involved in relearning the interface, and a bit annoyed that certain long-term fixes have not yet been addressed. I've also taken issue with the ad copy from Avid, that the sounds were professional quality, but I will say that the sounds are much better than ever before. Version 7 is ultimately an improvement over version 6, at least for me. The main point I was going to make in my open letter was to ask the developers not to make any more interface changes for several years, but to now fix things like lines, dynamic parts, and so on. When the developers closed up shop and turned out the lights in Finsbury Park, they left behind enough code for a slim upgrade. I predict that Avid is counting on using this to launch version 8 sometime next year, and I also predict that there will be an iPhone and iPad application. This may be why Avid has rejected proposals to buy back Sibelius by its original creators, the Finn brothers. They may be counting on a whole new generation of users who have no loyalty to the original development team. So with that code and the new platform, Avid can probably skate by for another 2 years before its new development team actually has to do a significant rewrite of the code. What I suggest is to demand from Avid that they either rehire the original team, or at least its head developers, or that they show us in extreme detail and with enormous transparency how they intend to uphold the current standard of the program. Don't make threats, don't insult, and for God's sakes don't whine. Please, insist, with dignity, that solid, verifiable assurances are made immediately in compensation for the enormous public relations disaster. We want to know who is taking over development, what is their track record, what kind of budget, and what kind of carryover from the original team, and we demand a consistency of vision and quality down the line. So finally, I don't care what your musical style is, or your level of development, or your political beliefs, or any of that. What matters is that all Sibelius users have to come together now and make our case with strength and conviction. Show them why we matter, and don't let them off the hook until we see some real concern and action by Avid on our behalf. Look, I've got to get back to work, but please watch the sister video, my open letter to Avid, and feel free to share any thoughts in the comments on this video page about how we can approach this problem. See you soon.